Welcome, everyone. I know that you are very excited to learn more about AI, and today we are going to dive into something foundational, which is responsible AI. This is not just a buzzword that you hear every day, it's how we can design AI systems that we can trust, that are fair, and that do good in the world. Let's unlock what that actually means. So, what do we mean by responsible AI? Actually, there is no one single definition of what responsible AI is. But generally speaking, responsible AI means building systems that reflect our ethical, legal, and societal values. It's about designing AI that is not just smart, but also aligns with human values. Our ultimate goal when building or designing AI systems is trying to mitigate as much as we can any potential risks or harms, such as biases, discrimination, or even misuse. But why do we need to talk about responsible AI right now? As you know, AI is moving very fast, and the global AI market is expected to reach around $2 trillion by 2030. And the AI adoption rate is also surging so much since even 2017. And so, responsible AI is no longer an option, it's a competitive advantage, and it's becoming a necessity right now. Now, we said that we don't have a unified definition of what responsible AI is, right? But responsible AI rests on a set of principles. The first principle is called fairness, and by fairness we mean that we try to ensure that these systems provide equitable outcomes and is not favoring a certain group or a certain ethnicity over others. The other core principle is transparency, and transparency can go hand in hand with fairness, which means that we try to build systems that are transparent, which means that normal users and any stakeholder who is going to interact with the system are able to understand why the system provided a certain output. So for example, explainability is one type of transparency, providing transparent decisions and providing transparent process to the end user, even if they don't understand how the system works. The third core principle is accountability. This one is very important because when an AI provides a wrong decision or a wrong outcome that may affect a certain user or a certain stakeholder, it's very important that we try to think ahead of time. Who would held accountable for that decision? Who would held accountable for that action? And so establishing clear responsibility for AI system decisions and impacts with defined ownership for addressing issues that may arise from the AI system. The other important principle is security. Of course, we need to interact with systems that are secure, and we make sure that our data is protected and we are not vulnerable to any attacks at any time, right? So we try to build resilient systems and we try to think ahead of time of what would be possible like vulnerabilities that we need to address and cover in our system as well. And of course, when we mention security, we also have to mention privacy, right? And because we value our user, right? We value our customer, we value our stakeholders. And valuing them, it means that they should feel safe interacting with our system. They should feel safe that their data is secured and that we are implementing what it takes to protect their data, their private interactions, and so on. And so by privacy, we mean implementing robust data protection mechanisms and meaningful user consent processes for personal information that we may keep in our system. And of course, we need to ensure that our system is reliable, which means that it provides a consistent performance across different scenarios and conditions. So you need to try your system not only on a single scenario, but you have to try multiple scenarios, different scenarios, and see how your system is going to interact to test their robustness. Now, let's talk a little bit more about each principle. So first, we said that fairness means ensuring equitable outcomes, not favoring a certain group over other, right? And so one of the most significant issues that are still facing fairness or responsible AI development is algorithmic bias. And so by algorithmic bias, we mean any systematic or unfair outcomes that are coming out of the AI system that is usually reflected in their training dataset. So when we are building and training our algorithms, we need to ensure that our training data is representative and we are including a diverse perspective when training our model. So now I want to share with you some real world examples of what happens without a responsible AI lens, even from top tech companies. So for example, in 2014, Amazon launched an AI hiring tool, but unfortunately they found that this tool mostly discarded resumes mentioning the word woman and favored male style language and profiles. Another example is the Compass algorithm that overestimated in their prediction, they overestimated the recidivism risk for Black defendants over white defendants. Also, some image or facial recognition applications, they sometimes mislabel the image or the face, especially with a certain ethnicity or group or background. So we also have to be cautious about this. Microsoft itself, they launched a chatbot called Tay in Twitter, and it learned so fast when it started to interact with users, and it started to become offensive and posting some racist tweets within just 16 hours. These are just few examples, and many other examples could be mentioned, even as I mentioned from top tech companies. And this is what happens when we don't have a responsible AI principles in our mind while building these tools. And so we try by providing this video is to think ahead of time of how we can avoid these issues in our system that we are trying or we think we need to build. Now, as we want to avoid unfair decisions, right? We want to provide some systems that are transparent. And one way of providing transparency to stakeholders using AI systems is explainability. We try to include an explainable feature in the AI system because AI models are often complex and they work as black boxes. We need to open them up. We need to think of a way that we can provide our users with explanation of why this AI system provided a certain decision or a certain action. And there are many policies and regulations right now that actually require any AI development company to consider this while developing the AI. So it's becoming a right to the user. The user has the right to understand why the AI system provided a certain decision and not just to act based upon what the AI provided without understanding why it provided that decision or that recommendation or this output. And there are some examples of current explainable AI tools that exist as some companies make an effort towards making their AI systems explainable, and maybe you too should also consider making your AI system explainable as well. Now, when it comes to AI, data is power, right? But with great power comes great responsibility. And privacy and data governance ensure that user data is collected, used, and stored ethically and transparently. This means clear consent, strong anonymization, and giving users control over their own data. And for startups, embedding privacy into your design is not just about compliance, it's about building a reputation for integrity and users' trust from day one. Now, let's talk about robustness. So, imagine a self-driving car misreading a stop sign. That's what tiny pixel changes can do. And so by robustness, we mean making sure your model behaves reliably under pressure, under different circumstances, under different scenarios and conditions, and how it would behave in the real world. So we have to make different tests and we make sure that our system is reliable. So Google offers 7 AI principles that act as a roadmap to responsible AI. So the first 3 principles focus on being socially benefit, which means prioritizing AI that improves lives, and fairness, proactively detect and reduce any bias, as we discussed earlier, and ensuring safety, which means that we have to ensure rigorous testing and impact assessments to make sure that our system is robust and reliable as well. As discussed before, accountability and privacy are also core principles of responsible AI, and Google is prioritizing also these principles in their roadmap. Accountability, it means human oversight in all AI operation. So make sure that you have a human in the loop when developing, designing, and deploying your AI system. And as we said, privacy is also a priority, and protecting users' data and information is of high importance. The sixth and seventh principles focus on building AI systems that are based on evidence, science, and peer-reviewed knowledge. And also try to deploy AI that align only with the social domains that improves humans' lives and don't contradict with Google's AI principle as well. Now, I know that some of you may ask from where I should start to incorporate a responsible AI lens in my journey. First, let me remind you that ethics is not a checkbox at the end. It must be woven into every stage of your development journey. In collecting your data, training your model, developing your model, testing your model, or even finally deploying your model, you should think of how you could incorporate a responsible AI principle into every stage of your model development. This is how we build systems that are not only smart, but are also fair, safe, and inclusive. I can now say congratulations onto your first step towards building a responsible AI system. By watching this video, this is your first step into building a responsible AI and including some of the core principles into your AI journey. Here, I have also included other resources that could be helpful for you when you are building your AI system with a responsible AI lens. Good luck and thank you for watching.